I think, Molly, I just want to say this because I think it's important, and that's you as a single person,
right,
wrestling with that idea.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really important to say. Like, it is possible. That's not like Molly's not like more spiritual than anyone.
That was kind of
my spiritual mentor. Just kidding.
But like, all that to say, I am very
the audio.
yeah.
but all that to say is like, you can't. That is a possibility to cultivate. And I will say though, like there is an element of like you can. If we're saying this all, it sits and embedded in what you're saying, Molly, is that if what we're trying to do is recontextualize sexuality as something that points beyond itself into finding ultimate fulfillment in being known and intimacy, right? You can begin to cultivate that
Mm-hmm.
and what it means to be known and to understand what it means to know and know another person. And I think that was another piece of what I just wanted to come back to this idea that we were talking about experiencing your sexuality and singleness, is that if what we're saying is true about how Jesus experienced his sexuality, is that what we learn from Jesus is that, and this goes to what I think you're saying, Molly, is that that what Jesus was able to show us is that it's possible to be a human that that lives without sex, but it's not possible to be a human to live without intimacy. And what we saw in Jesus' life was him cultivating yada, to be known by a community of people,
Yes.
by friends and family, to be known by his God, that his needs of intimacy were met.
Yes.
Right? Now, I will say also that in particular, it is actually really important for the church to cultivate, support, and encourage lifelong commitments of like celibate singleness across the board for this vision to make any sense. And the church, and I'll put Ecclesia as one of the first places, the church that I help pastor, has not done a good job at, is creating a culture that supports and takes care of people who are actively committing to celibacy as a form of their conviction that God called them to that way of life, whether for the entirety of their life or for a season. And if there is one call for the church right now that I think in the midst of this like kind of space that we are in as a culture sexually, if we want to create and reassert the Jesus vision for a sexual ethic, this is the point that we need to press into. And we need to honestly smash the idol of family and marriage that we have built in the church and say there are viable calls to singleness for seasons or our life, and there's a viable call to marriage that we need to help you discern. And if you called into singleness, there is a whole world that is not set up for you to have financial security, intimacy, like care or concern when you come home, like if you get hurt when you are out around. And if I got hurt, my wife would be like, "Where is Garrett?" But if you are single, you might not have that. And what does it look like to cultivate a community of people that knows their single people in their midst, thinks about them, cares for them, understands that if they're called to this vision of life later in their life, what it means to have family and belonging and holidays and all of these things that happen when you have a family that our society is built around. Sorry, that was an important thing.
Oh, that's really
Totally.
good.
That was good.
Really important to say.
Totally.
Here's the thing that I would want to say, just out of all of that. If you're going to deconstruct purity culture, go all the way down. All the way down.
Number two.
Deconstruct it all the way down.
Yep.
Go
Don't pull out beforehand.
Yeah, just go all the way
too early.
down. Good gracious. We're going to have to put the explicit on.
If that's
They're all
explicit.
innuendos, so
That what Molly was saying is, if you still think that to be human means that you must have sexual intercourse with a person, you are buying into the myth of purity culture. Still to this day. That if you want to deconstruct the myth of purity culture, you need to reconstruct a vision of humanity that means that you can be human and not have sex. And you fully can be a human and not have sex.
Yeah.
Because that's the vision that Jesus paints for us.
Yeah.
And if you have a hard time still believing that, then that means you are holding on to the culture that you want to actually reject. So when you deconstruct it all the way to the ground and allow the Holy Spirit to build it back up into a vision that is more robust than the one. And that's a scary thing, because like every rom-com tells you another version of what it means. Every porn will tell you another version of what it means. That there is an insecurity because there is a lack of evidence that there is a different way to experience sexuality as a human.
Right.
However, that's the exact terminology that we have for faith. That you can believe something is true when there is there's not enough evidence or lack of evidence to the contrary, but you believe that God is showing you a version of it forward. So if you want to do that, have faith that God will meet you at the base of that deconstruction and resurrect a new world in front of you that is more profound than the one that you're presently experiencing.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Come
dude.
on.
Come on.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you can stay tuned for all of our content.